Welcome back. Now, joining us this morning once again is friend of the show, Dave Sidden, the Executive Director of Wildlife Images, Rehabilitation and Education Center. Good morning, Dave. How are you?
Terrific. Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. Can you introduce us to your friend here?
This is Peter. Peter is an opossum. And of course, an opossum is an invasive species. They're not normally found, or they weren't normally found in Oregon. But probably back in the 30s, somehow they ended up on the West Coast because naturally there's a divide. The Rocky Mountains is an insurmountable barrier to a lot of animals. And so it keeps certain animals on the eastern side of it and others on the western side. Well, possums were probably brought over by humans at one time or another and started populating Oregon. And so now they're a natives, not really a native, but an invasive species. And they're fairly common right now. In fact, on the way here this morning, one ran out in front of my car and I almost had another one. Anyway, they're getting to be pretty common in Oregon. They're omnivorous, so they eat plants and animals and just about anything like that. They're also primarily crepuscular. Crepuscular means twilight active. So these guys are active during dawn and dark as their primary times of activity. They're also a marsupial, and so they're the only North American marsupial. So babies are born, crawl into a pouch, and are reared in a pouch with the mom.
So he's basically cousins with a koala.
Sort of, yeah. They're very similar in design that way. And I always describe the opossum as kind of a genetic junkyard. They've got pieces of a little bit of everything, like a tail, kind of like a rat. Their tail is prehensile to a point. They can grab onto things, especially when they're younger. But of course, they can't hang upside down by their tail like the cartoons depict all the time.
Well, he sure is a cute little friend we have here. And
messy.
Dave, I want to ask you, I'm sure that you've heard about the recent news from Bandon about the raid and the shutdown of West Coast Game Park Safari. Do you have any thoughts about that situation?
No, we don't. I really don't firsthand know anything about their facility or what had happened or whatever. So it's really difficult to comment on things that you don't really know firsthand. There's a lot to sort out. The Federal Fish and Wildlife, I think, is probably deeply involved. And they have to go through a process, do an investigation. Then, of course, they have to secure all the animals, do health checks, and do all this sort of thing, and then find the animals new homes. So it's going to be a process going on for probably weeks yet.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about the gala that you just had at Wildlife Images.
Yes, we just had our big gala, which was just wonderful, big fundraiser, and it was very successful, and hopefully it'll give us more room to expand and do more things with Wildlife Images, keep the place open for things like Peter and all the other animals that need our help.
And your Camp EEK summer camp is coming up in a few weeks, so what can parents and kids expect to take away from that experience?
Yeah, June 16th is when Camp EEK starts, and each week has a different theme. It could be nocturnal creatures, it could be whatever it is in different themes. So we're hoping that will be a huge success. It's been a sellout almost every year, so if people have kids, they want to get into Camp EEK, they should get online and register now. They go to our website, wildlifeimages.org, and they can register and get their kids into the camp right now.
Very cool. Well, Dave, is there anything else that you'd like to say before we wrap up?
We have Father's Day coming up, which is June 15th, I believe. We're going to have a big Father's Day celebration, things for dads to do. There's going to be like a golfing competition. There'll be all sorts of dad things to do out there, so it'll be a wonderful thing. And of course, these animals survive thanks to us, dedicating our lives to take care of these animals. So if people want to help, we're always looking for volunteers, donors, and keep us in your estate planning, things like that.
Absolutely. And you get to hang out with cute animals like Peter.
Absolutely.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for being on our show this morning.
Well, thanks for having us.
Of course. Wildlife Images Rehabilitation and Education Center is open daily on Lower River Road in Grants Pass. Camp EEK is open to kids aged 5 through 11 with weekly sessions scheduled June 16th through August 15th. The first session's theme is Wildlife Kingdom. Now, for more information about Camp EEK or the park itself, just visit wildlifeimages.org. Once again, Dave, Peter, thank you so much for being on Sunrise.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. We'll be right
Peter,
back.
we had a good time, didn't you?